Guys, I got a question for you. Why does it seem that more often than not these days, when you hear from some of your favorite personalities from some of your favorite shows, they turn out to be assholes? Like, seriously, bruh. I know that there's this old saying that you never want to meet the people that you admire or look up to because you'll be disappointed every time. But see, showbiz is a little bit different because you're always supposed to be on, right? When you meet the public, you're supposed to put your best face forward. I mean, they actually do employ people who are in charge of making sure that your image is what it should be, like public relations, whatever the case may be. Like, you actually get trained in the art of doing this. I don't know why so many of these people these days just have no problems showing their fans, the ones who pay millions of dollars into their lifestyle, why they have no problem showing us their ass. Well, who is it this time, you say? Well, that would be Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones. You guys might remember him as Tyrion Lannister. He was many of our favorite character. Like, for many of us, this was our favorite character. You know what I mean? Like, I know for me, he had all the best lines. He was the funniest. You felt for him the most. And you rooted for this guy, right? But Game of Thrones has been off now for like a couple of years or so. And unfortunately, it didn't go out on a high note. And a lot of us pretty much were very vocal about that, myself included. Like, what happened, I say around season 6 or whatever, maybe they started going a little bit further than the source material went. And it really did show, everything just felt so rushed. There were all of a sudden plot holes where it didn't used to be. It wasn't as clever as it used to be. It just wasn't as engaging. And then, like I said, it just felt so rushed, and then it just completely went off the tracks because it just stopped making sense. And a lot of us who have been following it from day one, we couldn't help but make commentary about it. So it's kind of gone down in history as probably one of the less satisfying show finales in history. You know what I mean? So now you got Peter Dinklage, who's sounding off about how he feels about all of this. All right. So we're going to get into this because, once again, it's another example of this is the payoff. This is the payoff that we get as fans, for investing in a show or a movie and daring to be passionate about it. This is the payoff we get to get smacked in the face by the people who are actually involved in it. This is what they think of us, which is like another reason why a lot of us stress the importance of supporting independent creators. But let's get into this, guys. This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. So we're going to get into what Peter Dinklage had to say regarding the fans and the way that we perceived the end of Game of Thrones, and the chatter. Now, of course, keep in mind, guys, nobody really cares if everyone just loves it. If you adore it and you're vocal about how much you adore it, if you're a psychotic Raylo or something, nobody's got problems with that. But if you dare to have an actual criticism, then you're just told to shut up and go away. After investing all the time, in some cases money, into these things, a lot of us got the box set, we own the series, you have conventions and stuff like that, but let's get into what this guy had to say. Okay, so this was in the insider.com. Peter Dinklage says Game of Thrones fans were upset about the finale because they wanted the pretty white people to ride off into the sunset. Okay, so we were upset with the finale because we wanted pretty white people to ride off into the sunset. Oh boy, here we go again. Here we go again. Now see, as a black guy, right? As a black man, this really offends me because I see this a lot, right? This is a constant with these people. Whenever they get faced with criticism from their fans, they zero in on the white fans and they act like all the other fans don't exist. So everybody else was cool with it. Or maybe he's saying that black fans just wanted to see pretty white people ride off into the sunset too. But somehow I doubt that. Somehow I think that it's more likely that they don't even see the diversity of their fans, which is funny because these are the first people who will want to virtue signal about diversity and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? But they don't give their fans of diversity the respect of even acknowledging that they exist. So that's the way he narrows it down. White people just wanted to see white people ride off into the sunset. Pretty white people. Keep in mind, Tyrion Lannister, like I said, this dude, Peter Dinklage, won all types of Emmy Awards. People really did gravitate towards his character, right? I don't think he's talking about himself when he says pretty white people, but no, we accepted him as a, what do they call him now? A little person? A dwarf? A midget? A squirt? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah. So I think it's just a little bit short-sighted, but, right away, he rubs me the wrong way. And he goes on to say, Peter Dinklage didn't hold back in a recent interview with the New York Times when it was brought up that Game of Thrones fans were let down by the show's finale. They wanted pretty white people to ride off into the sunset together, Dinklage, who played Tyrion Lannister on the show, told the newspaper. By the way, it's fiction, he added with a laugh. There's dragons in it. Move on. Wow. Like I said before, this is the payoff that you get for years, right, of following not just this show, but the book, right? He can just give all of us the middle finger. Look, it's a show. It's got dragons in it. Move on. So you shouldn't have any opinions about anything. You see what these people think of us. I swear it's just not safe. It's not safe. These things that we love are run by people who hate us. There's the problem. So he goes on to say, right, the HBO series based on the novels by George R.R. Martin had its final season in 2019. Some fans were so upset by its finale that they launched a change.org petition pleading for HBO to redo the entire season. The show subverts what you think, and that's what I love about it. There it is. There's that word, subverts, subversion of expectations. Once again, that Rian Johnson bullshit that we always seem to come back to. Everybody just wants to tinker with your expectations. Now, listen, guys, I don't mind like a change up. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind them throwing a curveball. I mean, who likes to see something that is 100% predictable, right? But really, what the fans go into it expecting is to be entertained. We expect to see something that is engaging, something that is imaginative, something that blows our mind if it's really, really good. And of course, we expect to be respected as your audience, as your loyal and faithful audience. But apparently these days, that's too much to ask because they're trying to subvert your expectations when it comes to that too. Don't expect to be respected. That's my takeaway from all of this. So it goes on to say, let's see. Yeah, it was called Game of Thrones, but at the end, the whole dialogue when people would approach me on the street was, who's going to be on the throne? I don't know why that was their takeaway, because the show was really more than that, he added. Okay, look, you idiot. The show is called Game of Thrones. Whenever you saw a promotional poster or image, they showed a throne. All right. I think Cersei, the character who played your sister, even said when you play the Game of Thrones, you play to win or something to that effect. Right. It was all about who was going to end up on that throne. So, of course, it was illogical for people to wonder who's going to be on the throne. And when you ended up seeing who ended up being on the throne, it didn't make much sense because we stood by like 8 seasons and we knew where a lot of that was going. We know like the path that we were led down and everything, and it just didn't make any sense. So it says here, it goes on. Because it sort of just killed that whole conversation, which is, wait a minute. Okay, so wait a minute. Dinklage, who will next be seen in the upcoming movie Cyrano, said one of his favorite moments from the finale was when Daenerys Targaryen's dragon burned the throne. Because it sort of just killed that whole conversation, which is really irreverent and kind of brilliant on behalf of the show's creators. Shut up. It's not about that, Dinklage added, referencing David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. They constantly did that. Even they did. Benioff and Weiss even admitted they didn't know what to do when they ran out of source material, Peter Dinklage. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's your point here? All right, the fans were right. We're always right because we actually do follow the story. We actually think about these things. And I think that's what these people have a problem with. They just don't want us thinking. They don't want us being critical at all. You know, and if you dare to be that, then they can't stand underneath that scrutiny. They just can't take it. We're just supposed to be spoon fed everything and don't ask any questions. Compliance, obey, consume. That's all they want. Don't ask any questions. Don't say anything. They constantly did that, where they thought one thing and they delivered another, he said. Everybody had their own stories going on while watching the show, but nobody's was as good as what the show delivered, I think. In other words, your Snoke theory sucked. It's the same thing, guys. Like I said, that same mentality is what our fandom is infested with. And at the base of it, at the bottom of it, inside and out of it, is just more disrespect. That's all it is. Dinklage also said he felt audiences were angry about how the show ended because the show was simply coming to an end in general. They were angry at us for breaking up with them, he said. We were going off the air and they didn't know what to do with their Sunday nights anymore. They wanted more. So they backlashed about that. This is the worst take ever in the world. Peter Dinklage, you just should have kept your mouth shut. You were like I said, you were everybody's favorite. Everyone looked up to you. Everyone was rooting for you. You're making history as a little person, in the industry, and people were just seeing you for your character, and we were rooting for you. Like, where is this disrespect coming from? Where is this resentment coming from? You actually have a fan base that you're betraying by doing this and by saying this. Like, don't you have people? That's what I'm saying. Don't these people have people, public relations people, who are telling them, even if you don't respect these people, learn how to act like you do. That's what, actors of old, it seemed like they got that. When you watch old interviews of the stars of Star Wars, this is always something that strikes me. When you watch Anthony Daniels, Mark Hamill, although I can't really vouch for him these days, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, they all knew how to put on their public face, right? So no matter what their politics were, no matter how they might have felt about people personally, they knew how to express themselves in a way that endeared them to their fans. You know what I'm saying? But it seems to be a lost art these days. So let's see if there's anything more worth reporting here. Let's see. All right. So he just goes on to talk more about things. If you know your history, when you track the progress of tyrants, they don't start off as tyrants. I'm talking about, spoiler alert, what happened at the end of Game of Thrones with that character change, he said, hinting at the brutal scene with Daenerys. Okay, so the thing about what happened with Daenerys, okay, is that it was rushed. Nobody had a problem with the fact that she was the Mad Queen because we knew that she was the Mad Queen. We knew that there was a possibility, or if you read the book, a likelihood that she was going to flip the hell out. But it was just that it happened like night and day, so it was about the writing, the same way as it always is. When the writing suffers, you can expect that your fans are going to be critical of that. You just can't be giving people anything and think they're just going to shut up and take it, like I said before. But this is what Peter Dinklage thinks, all right? And this is how he feels. And unfortunately, this is how so many of them feel that are in the industry now. It is not safe to love people who actually hate you and me, all of us. All they want is our money. That's what it comes down to. All they want is our money, but they don't want to contribute to the actual lore. They don't want to contribute to the culture. They're not invested in this at all. And it couldn't be any more apparent than it is these days. But anyway, guys, you can get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about Peter Dinklage's remarks and his resentment, apparently, of the fans and his take on why fans were unhappy with the finale and the way that Game of Thrones ended. Let me know how you feel about this, guys. As always, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. You can catch me on Twitter. You can catch me on Odyssey. You can catch me on Rumble. I'm here, there, I'm everywhere. But most importantly, you can catch me here, guys. I will be here, and I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for listening. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.